Welcome to a Rapid Fire Wednesday Q&A for corporate immigration professionals. I'm Miki Matrician, co-managing partner of WR's Boston office, and I'm here with Kimberley Robidoux, partner in our San Diego office. Hi, Kimberley.
Hey, Miki, how are you?
Good. So over the weekend, USCIS ran the Cap H1 lottery and notified companies and law firms about the Cap H1 selection. So we have some questions we want to address and some tips to share. So Kimberley, the selection started coming in on Wednesday last week, but we kind of knew at the close of business on Friday that there were going to be more selections coming through. It seemed too low.
Right.
So even I think on Monday morning, April 1st, people were still noticing that additional selections were coming in. Can you tell us, Kimberley, about some issues that were happening?
Yeah, so it was exciting when we got that first email saying we have taken action on your case and then logged into the organizational account to see our registration that was marked as selected. The issue that was happening is that not all of the selected cases were actually showing up as selected when you did the filtering. So what that meant is we had to go back into pretty much each submission to see if the case or registration had been selected. So that was a little frustrating at first, like, oh no, there's only two. But then it was nice once we all realized that we had to just go back into the actual registration that we could see what was selected.
Yeah, so I had to click through a lot of pages to uncover the hidden selections, and then we were surprised. Pleasantly, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Talking about clicking through, if HR professionals had multiple batches of registrations, they had to click in, right? So to make sure that they were capturing everything, because if something looked like it wasn't selected, we want to make sure that we're capturing everything we're supposed to capture.
Right. So it does mean extra clicking for sure to go through each of the batches in order to essentially open it up to see what else has been selected, what other registration is there that was selected. And yeah, the little bit of a frustrating thing is that once you hit into a particular batch and then you see, oh, we have 3 that were selected, 4 that weren't, and you go back out, you click back out, it brings you all the way to the first page. So if you're on, page 20 to 30 and you go back, it sends you back to the first page. So people just need to be, what we've learned, a little bit of patient and continue to go backwards in order to go forward. So it takes a little bit more time to actually view everything.
Yeah. There's a handy tip, though, for HR professionals that are handling a large number of registrations. Can you share that tip?
Yeah, so there actually is a feature with a downloadable CSV file, which will show all of the registrations in a particular batch. So you can download that CSV file and in one form per batch, see what cases were selected. So we were using that as a double check to see what was selected when we were kind of clicking through things, and then downloading the CSV file allowed us to compare and contrast, so to speak. So we had an accurate accounting of everything.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that you have to download separate CSV files if the company had done multiple registration batches, right?
Right. And as a representative, we had to download multiple CSVs potentially with each client.
Exactly. So I think the question that everyone is dying to know is, what is the selection rate that people are seeing this year now that USCIS announced on April 1st that they have completed their selections for this round?
Yeah, so we were all a little excited at WR and had some email threads going around Sunday, even though it was a holiday, just to kind of see what's been selected, because we have taken action on your case on Sunday. And what we have found across our offices, right, from Oakland, Santa Monica, Woodland Hills, New York City, Boston, and San Diego, the selection rate was between 32 to 35%. But in San Diego, our selection rate was 46%. I don't know where that came from, but we were super excited to see that. It might be a little anomaly, but that's kind of the way that it worked out. So overall, we've been hearing from our colleagues that the selection rate seems to be higher than last year, so around a 32 to 35%.
Wow, Kimberley, you must have a magic touch.
I did go out and buy lottery tickets.
Time to go gamble.
That's right. That's a magic touch to get a ticket.
Do you think there's going to be multiple rounds of drawings again this year?
So this is definitely something that is on everyone's minds, right? When the registration started in 2020, we had a second round in August. And then again in 2021, there was a second round. 2022, there was no second round. And then last year, there were over 700,000 registrations that were received. And it was pretty much a certainty, at least everybody thought, well, there's no way there's going to be a second round until it was discovered that there were a lot of fraudulent registrations, a lot of duplicate registrations. So USCIS went through those, discovered the fraudulent nature of some of these registrations, and did a second round, which was at the end of July last year. So because of those fraudulent registrations and primarily the duplicate registrations that were submitted, USCIS changed the registration process this year, which, as you remember, Miki, with our organizational accounts going crazy and trying to get everything together this year because of the change in the system, that was primarily driven by what had happened last CAP season. And so what USCIS did, if our viewers remember, is they moved everything to a beneficiary-centric situation so that with the registrations, each beneficiary is only counted once. So the beneficiary is not going to receive 10 selections. They'll be counted once. So that's been a change. And with that, we might not have a second round this year, but time will tell. We would likely find out in July, probably.
Yeah, yeah. So even if I guess, fraudulent duplicate registrations are no longer really a problem, there could still be other reasons why USCIS could find itself short on selections to do another round, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So there could be situations where a registration is selected and that individual leaves the company. So now the company is not going to file the H-1B petition for them. It could be the other way around, where a company might have layoffs and those individuals whose registrations were selected are now no longer employed by the company. So the H-1B petition will not be submitted for that individual. So with those situations that might play out, that might reduce the numbers of H-1B registrations that are actually used or based on the H-1B petition filings. We could also have, a higher rate of denial. I don't think so, and I don't want anybody to think there's going to be a higher rate of denial, but just if cases are denied, that's another reason that USCIS puts the numbers back in the count, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. I guess, and so the next step for everybody is identifying which cases to file earlier in the window, right? And last time we talked about how people in F1 OPT or STEM OPT that are expiring in the coming weeks should be prioritized. Any additional thoughts or considerations on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Our cap gap people, HR professionals want to keep an eye on that with their counsel. Also, what we do at WR is ask if beneficiaries have any kind of international travel, not because we're nosy, but because we want to make sure that the cap petitions are being submitted in a way that is not going to affect their ability to either get back into the US or have their change of status approved. So one of the things that we're looking at is for those who might have international travel planned, and these are specifically for F1 students, to try to potentially prioritize them so that in certain cases, if they have an H-1B petition approval, they might be able to travel internationally between the time of their approval and October 1st. But everything is definitely a case-by-case situation to talk with HR and the attorneys to make sure everything is going to be okay and not impacted.
Yeah, and I think it's worth highlighting that it doesn't, that doesn't apply to everybody in F1 status either, and that it, for other people in other statuses, that doesn't apply. So just be careful and definitely consult with your legal counsel.
Absolutely. Yeah, we don't want anybody getting stuck abroad, right? It's easy to leave the US. It's the coming back that becomes a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So with the selection rates being higher this year, more people were selected, which is great, but undoubtedly there still are many, many people who are not selected. And so, their status in the US would expire before the next H-1B cap season. So any thoughts on that situation?
Yeah. So the first thing is there might be a second round. So if they have a status that's valid at least until, the end of August or September, they might possibly find out if there's a second round that they've been selected. But absent that, there are a lot of different H-1B cap alternatives. We can name the letters of the alphabet for those, But our partners have done some talks about that, which are available on the WR Immigration's YouTube page that talks through the H-1B alternatives for what, we call in San Diego the last chancers, those who, this was their last chance to get a CAP number before they might have to leave the US.
Thanks, Kimberly. Yeah, so that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to post a comment or send us a DM. If you don't already follow us, please do follow us on our LinkedIn, either on Kimberly's or my profiles or on WR Immigration's page. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Miki. Good to see you.